Hello, hi, how are you? What's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're building a mansion. We're in Sulani. I kind of wanted to take a bit of a break from Newcrest at the moment, just to give myself a bit more motivation and, spunk, desire. I don't really know what the word is, but I just don't want to get sick of building out Newcrest, which I think is quite likely. The building fatigue, when you're spending sort of 10 to 12 hours on some of these builds to make them perfect, it can just be exhausting. So I wanted to take a little break from that today and go into a different town, different neighborhood, different vibe, different scene, and just do something completely different. So I hope you really like the mansion. If you do, give it a big thumbs up. You can download it from the gallery, of course, at Brownflowersims. All that information is in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love to join you to the family, for you to join the family, whatever. I'd love that. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the video and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye. Alright guys, we're actually in Sulani today. We're taking a break from my Newcrest builds because I just wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to I had a specific style in mind, and I just didn't think it was going to really fit into the realm and the world of Newcrest. I thought it was very much suited to the tropics, beautiful beach life, and so of course Sulani was the best neighborhood to choose for that reason. And I wanted to try a few new techniques out on this video, and mainly they revolve around the roof, so you'll see me popping that in now. I wanted the idea of this house to be inspired by the shape of a wave and to have really fluid, organic shapes. There's lots of circles and round shapes in this house, and there's 3 different sections of roof, all of which are shaped like a wave, and I just thought that that was a really nice nod to Sulani itself and sort of the environment that the Sims are surrounded by in this tropical paradise. So the roof was really important in this build because it was really going to be the way I was effectively communicating that wave shape and vibe, as well as a lot of these rounded surfaces. So as I mentioned, there's a rounded balcony up the top here that matches the curve of the roof. We've actually got a round swimming pool as well, thanks to Kate Emerald, who has just the best tutorials. If you go and check out her speed builds and her tutorials, a lot of her tips and tricks I've included in this build, especially the round pool, and you're about to see me build that momentarily after I get all of these windows in, so I'll talk a bit more about that when we get to it. But in terms of the windows and the glass roof and just sort of the openness of this build, if this was a house in reality in a location like this, you would just want everything to be made of glass. You're surrounded by crystal clear, perfect turquoise waters and sand and beautiful greenery, and I just think Sulani is just the most gorgeous tropical paradise ever. And so that's why I've got so much glass and windows going on. Just who cares about privacy really, because at the end of the day, if you're living here, you want to look outside. And I've actually got the whole second story, which is more of like an entertainer's terrace, as an open air area, which I'll talk to a bit more when we get up there to furnish it. But for now, I'm just building out the round pool, and what I'm using is a rug that I've scaled up really large as a guide, and I'm using these lap, I don't know what the word is, they show you how the lap guides. God, my word retrieval today is horrible, but the guides that you put at the bottom of the swimming pool for laps, I'm just using in free rotation, which is by holding Alt on my keyboard and twisting with my mouse, and I'm able to free rotate those, and so that's what I'm doing there to create that round shape. And I'm using the exact same object again now to create these sort of large format tiles. I know that in a lot of really fancy houses in sort of LA in America that I've seen on YouTube builds, that they have these, where they're these huge marble or stone format tiles, and they've got that really nice modern look with a bit of grass popping through, so I wanted to bring that into this build. I did see Kate do that on her channel as well, so props to Kate again for just being the best builder ever. I strongly suggest you go check her out, though if you found me by some mystery on YouTube and you haven't found Kate yet, I don't know how that would work, because she is one of the best and most well-known speed builders. So Anyway, we're now doing another section here, which I just wanted to create a little platform for the hot tub and sort of a little sunbathing area. I used these hedges that I'm popping in now to give a little bit of form and structure to the build, where everything else is really round and sort of organic in feel. And I do end up going around the entire circumference of the property with those. And I was toying with the idea of giving like a really groovy tile around the bottom there, around the pool, but I just thought it was a bit too shouty, and the rest of the house is very neutral. The environment and the landscape is really what's meant to be the hero in this build, and so I didn't want to take away from that by putting in crazy, loud, colourful tiles. So I went with a traditional concrete, I guess, and just popped that in and just not rounded off the corners, but cut them off on a diagonal to match the pool. And then in this section I was having a lot of trouble. I kind of thought I needed to mimic the same symmetry of the other side by having another platform on this edge of the pool, but it wasn't working for me. You'll see me try a few different things here, and I thought it was important to include those in the video just because, you know, it doesn't come overnight. There is a lot of trial and error with these type of builds, so I want you guys to know, if you're looking at what I do and what other speed builders do and thinking I could never do that that's just not the case. You absolutely have to just work through some of the problems or areas you're not happy with in a build, and that was an example there, so I kept that in for you. And I'm actually going to be working on a tutorial series for you all, and I've actually started scripting that out already. I want that to be a really well planned and executed series for you that sort of covers the basics of building for an absolute newbie, from the very beginning to the very end. Everything from inspiration and planning all the way through to the landscaping phase. I know a couple of people have asked specifically for that on other videos and on Reddit as well, so I would like to oblige. So that's what I'm going to be working on and working towards in the future. I'd like to have it out in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. And anyway, back onto the build now. We're just up the top, and this is the tip. This trick helps you get rid of the supporting beams in the ceiling, which I just think is genius. Genius, genius, genius. I'm using the tool mod, which stands for Take Objects Off Lot. I will leave the link to that mod in the description below, but you can do this without mods if you are on a console. You just can scale down each of the objects as small as you possibly can, and then raise them or elevate them as high as you possibly can so they disappear off the grid. There are heaps of tutorials on this on YouTube, so make sure you check those out. This is really not a good way to learn because it goes so quickly, but rest assured it gives you this look here where we've gotten rid of that entire supporting frame except for a very thin strip at the bottom, but I use that strategically and make that work so it doesn't look a mistake. So that's what I've done there. We'll get back to that when I start furnishing the upstairs area, and I can talk through that some more, but for now we're just in the downstairs again, and we're just building out this little hot tub area, and I really wanted to use these plinth type surfaces that come with Get Famous, and they're really expensive. So I mean, if you're building this house in general, you're not going to be worried about using money cheats. You're going to have to, unless your Zim is just ridiculously wealthy, but these things are about 1,000 simoleons a pop, and I like to use them as sort of an alternative to a wall, and just to bring a little bit more of a bespoke, handcrafted look to the property. And I use it as like supporting pillars as such for the roof, and I'm doing another one of those little glass topped roofs there to go over the top of the hot tub area, and I'm using those plinths, just stacking them up and raising them up using the 9 key on my keyboard to get them to the right height. And I really wanted this to be a really grand area, really high ceilings, and I wanted the ability to pop stuff not only on that supporting wall but above, which you'll see in a moment. So that I thought that was quite an interesting looking structure. So I wanted to do something a little bit different and again mimic that wave inspiration that's throughout the entire build. I'm also just adding in some terrain paint now. Terrain paint is absolutely crucial. Crucial. You need to use it if you want to go for that realistic approach. If you're not interested in realism at all, then don't worry about it. Then it isn't crucial. I've just contradicted what I've just said. But if you're looking for realism, the best way to achieve that, especially with landscaping, is with terrain paint. It can be as simple as what I'm doing now, just a super soft border around where I've got all my hedges, just to lend to that realism a little bit more. And this was actually the first time that I had curved these hedges, which was a delight, because when I learned how to do the pull and learnt that I could make those square objects round with a careful placement, I figured I'll try it on the hedges, and that works nicely to tie in that rounded off front area. And now I'm out the back again, and I'm also adding in some round section of plants. So I'm using that, what is it? Like it's from Sulani. It's like a seaweed type grass thing that comes in singular tiles, so I've got that around the side. I'll add a few more in a minute, but they have curved edges, so they're a really good choice if you want some curved vibe type landscaping happening for you. I've just put in the rest there, and I'm now adding in another curved element with this curved sort of seating area that surrounds the fire pit that I'll pop in a moment. I love this bench seat. It's the best thing to build with. It's gorgeous. I think it comes with the university. I'm not sure. I think it does though. And I've used it to follow that curve again and just tie in as many nods to the wave as possible. And there is a child living in this house. It's a 2-bedroom house, one of which is for a child. And so I've just got a nice little swing set out the back there in a color palette that matches the rest of the house. And again, tying in the sand at the bottom of that swing set with some rocks just to make it look a little bit more purposeful. I really like putting in sand to the bottom of my children's play equipment, because they can actually build sandcastles in it, which is a little bit irrelevant in that this is built in Sulani and it's surrounded by sand, but whatever. It gives the kids a nice little extra play area if they want to. And now at the hot tub area now, I'm just adding in those wooden slats. I don't know what else to call them. I call them slats, but they're like a decorative feature. And I just think they're beautiful. I think they create such nice light and cast beautiful shadows. And it's also just a little bit of extra privacy for that hot tub in there. Not much, but a little bit of extra privacy. Maybe your Sim's going to be getting up to a bit of frisky business in there, who knows? And now I'm just adding in a few more bits of landscaping. I found this build so freeing because in Sulani, everything's just kind of randomly chucked down. So having too much structure here, I think it works against you. So I had the ability to just really throw a few extra plants in, and I let the building speak for itself. Normally I go crazy with landscaping, but because it's so green and lush in Sulani, I just pared it back a little, which I think worked nicely. And I'm just adding in some outdoor lights now. Again, I kept it nice and minimal. I do tend to sometimes overlight my areas outside, and I think it looks a little bit nicer when it's nighttime in The Sims and you're playing the game and it looks like nighttime as opposed to so brightly lit, which is something I tend to do on accident. So I kept it pared back this time. And we're now moving, I don't know if you'd even call this inside. I was going to say we're moving inside, but this is the open air entertaining area on the upstairs of this property. This was really largely inspired by a lot of the houses that I see, you know, producer Michael and Inez Miller, you know, house tour. If you haven't checked their channels out, that is some major inspo on those channels, let me tell you, for mansion building, not really for anything other than mansions, because they tour some of the most incredible houses that you would have ever seen. And this is largely inspired by that, with these crazy LA properties with just ridiculously large entertaining areas where you could have parties for hundreds of people, or in this case, hundreds of Sims. So I've got a really cool DJ dance floor area, which is a little bit extra, but I'm kind of living for it. And I chose one of those weird, like, lava-shaped dance floors, but I love it. I think it's cool. I'd love to party at this house, or even just have dinner there. I've got two, you know, I actually got rid of one of them. There you go. I've got just one dining table and a huge bar with 2 bars at either end and an inbuilt barbecue. I'm from Australia, so I love barbecuing. It's so a part of our culture, so I had to pop that in there. And this is what I was mentioning before, that little strip that was left over from when I removed the supporting roof. I used it to hang a couple of television screens. I figured this would be a great place to watch the game or watch any sort of sports, or, you know, have a party and have something on in the background. Maybe it's the New Year's Eve countdown or whatever. And I also used it to suspend a little mini chandelier light, a hanging light. So I thought that came in handy. And now we're downstairs into the living quarters. It is a 2-bedroom house, so 1 bedroom is for a kid, and then this is the bedroom for the master bedroom for the adults. And I just find this build so peaceful. I would love this to be my bedroom. I chose really nice, warm, neutral colours, that nice bed with that canopy over the top. I did choose a lot of build buy items that were from Sulani, just because I think it does tie in so well with the aesthetic. I do end up getting rid of that fan because I forgot that there's a huge void double-story ceiling in this bedroom, so that fan does disappear, but I think it looks lovely for the interim. And I'm just cluttering up these bedside tables here, which are actually shelves. I think that that's a good tip if that you support your bed in the middle of the room with a bit of a half wall like I have here. You can pop in shelves to include all of your stuff and clutter around the sides of the bed. My bedside table and Julian, my boyfriend's bedside table, they are cluttered. They are always full of just junk and stuff, face creams, all that jazz. So I like to mimic that in the game as well. And behind the bed there, I've got the little wardrobe area that walks into this bathroom. And I had a little bit of trouble with this bathroom, laying it out. It's so big, so you wouldn't think I'd have trouble, but I really wanted it to have a his and hers side each. So it's got 2 doors, so you can walk in either way. But you'll just see me playing around with the layout here. I just had a bit of trouble, but I'm glad I persevered because I'm really happy with how it turned out. I have a double shower there behind just a window inside a normal wall, which I think is really nice. And then rather than going with sinks that are built, that I place into a bench top, I actually chose those prefabricated sinks. I never really go for those, but I don't know why, because they're great, they look awesome. So I've popped in a his and hers style sink side, and then I've put the bath on the other side of the shower. So I just think this is a really luscious, calm, zen bathroom, and I love using that floor mat that's made of wood. I think that that's quite chic and elegant, so I've popped that in as well. And now we're on the other side for the kids' bedrooms, and as always, kids' bedrooms are my favourite thing to build because I don't think about what I'm doing. I literally just chuck everything in there and it doesn't look bad. It can't, you know, kids love crazy bedrooms. The thing is, I did choose to I made this house for the family that was living here, and I didn't realize that it's actually a boy-child sim, but I don't really believe in gender stereotypes or anything like that, so why not give this boy a little pink room? I'm actually quite happy that I've done it like that. I think it's just, I love the way The Sims has created, you know, neutral gender roles. When you're making your sim and create a sim, you can dress them as masculine or feminine or whatever, and I like carrying that through to some of my builds. So even though this was an accident, it was a happy accident. I'm glad that I've made his bedroom really pink and bright and colourful. And so now I'm out into the office area. I like doing little home offices because I like to play the gameplay through with the freelancer career a lot. I love having writer sims and gaming sims and programming sims. For starters, they make a lot more money, I've found, and I don't have to be sending them to work constantly. So if I've got young children in the house or other things that need to get done, I just find it a lot more freeing to have a freelancer type sim. Same seems to be true in the real world. I'm not in freelance at the moment, but I have a lot of friends that do freelance and they seem to find it really freeing. So I think it translates well into gameplay to have nice offices for your Sims for that purpose. And now I'm just in the kitchen, and you'll see I'm just playing around with the benches here. I decided to get rid of that curved bench look and instead just go for a really big island. Otherwise it's quite just a normal, chilled out, traditional kitchen. It's, you know, it matches the same benches that I've got up in the entertainment space upstairs if you're gonna grill or do a barbecue or whatever. So I just kept it quite small down here. This is still not small. This is still, you know, a very beefy kitchen. You've got a double island, so like a double width island. So anyway, it's bougie, but it's not as bougie as some of the other mansion builds that I've done, which you can check out on the rest of my channel. If you are liking this video, I would love it if you could give me a big thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already. I just get so motivated by growing this community. I think the Sims community is the most beautiful and loving in the world. It's my family. I love it. I live on the Reddit page. I love going onto the gallery and downloading other people's builds and checking out what they're doing and watching all of the YouTubers that also put stuff up. So hopefully you're one of those people too, because you've managed to find your way to my page. So thank you so much and welcome. I'm over 100 subscribers now, which is crazy. I haven't really shouted about the fact that I'm doing speed builds and that I'm on YouTube now to my sort of close group of friends. I've told a handful of people, of which I'm sure there are plenty watching, hello, but I haven't really shouted about it yet because I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. It sounds a bit weird, but you know, putting yourself out there can be a little bit scary, so I'm just trying to work through that, and then maybe there'll be more of us, but 100 already of us is just wild, and I'm so grateful. So anyway, I'll stop blabbing about that now and we'll get back to the build, but I've just blitzed through the living room in the corner there. It's nice and chill, just a little cozy sitting area. And then I've also put in one of those bubble stations and a ping pong table. As I mentioned, this house is like crazy party house. I don't know whether the child is going to like that or not that's living here, or if they're going to rebel against it because they don't feel like there's enough structure in this household, too many parties going on. But I feel like I'd have a great time living here. I feel like you would really struggle to get people out of your house, which may or may not be an issue. If this was in reality, I'd love to have a house like this, but only for, you know, short periods of a time or for holidays when you can have all your friends over and have a party. But when people are partying all the time at your house, it can get a little bit old, unless you've got a maid, in which case it's fine. So anyway, I'm just cluttering up the rest of a few things now. I actually think I'm coming close to the end of the video and to the screenshots, so I hope you enjoyed the build. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see from me in the next few weeks. As I mentioned, I have a series coming out, so if you do have suggestions for that, for what you would like to learn from a tutorials perspective, please pop it down below in the comments. I'd love to be able to create specific stuff that you guys really want to see and that can really help you, because there's nothing worse than, you know, feeling like you're waiting and hanging out for a tutorial and then it just misses and glosses over some of the things that you really want to learn about. So with that, I'm going to go and leave you to look at the fly-throughs and the screenshots I've got at the end of this for you. And I'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one.